Hey gang, Jim here. Happy Microsoft Monday, and it's part 2. Last week we started to talk about Excel and ifs, and in fact we did a basic if statement, and then we looked at a couple of its cousins. No, I won't go into the bad joke again today, the count if and the sum if. Today we're going to go plural, and we're going to go a little bit beyond that. So a couple of really cool if tools that will up your function game within Excel. So let's just go to the Excel sheet, same sheet we were working on last week. We're not going to review what we did, check last week's video for that, but we're going to take a look at this list and we're going to say, okay, I want to count if something is true, but in fact I want to count if more than one thing is true. I want to do a count in this full list, and we'll just scoot it over to the left side so you see the entire list here. If they're staying in the Hilton, column H, and they're staying in a single room. Now you can do this for as many conditions as you want, but those are the two we're going to do here. Now count and sum are two different things. Count will count the number of items in the list, whereas sum will look for a number within the cells and add those together. So we're going to do both. Let's start with count ifs, and the way we're going to do it is the same way we started with last week, which was understanding the function wizard or the insert function bar. We want to make this easy. We want to have Excel do all the heavy lifting for us. So I'm putting my cursor in P7 just because that's right next to where the count ifs I've typed in there. You can put it anywhere. You can put it in a different sheet. You can put it in a different workbook. No big deal. But for now, we have it in P7. We'll go to the formulas menu, far left side of the ribbon, insert function, and we're going to look for count ifs. Remember, most recently used, if you've used these before, is the best place to look, but if you need to, you can go down to all, and then you can just start scrolling down, or you could actually type the name of the function in there, whichever way you want to find it. I'm going to go down, since I've already started this process of count if and count ifs. We want the plural, because remember, we want at least two criteria. So we select count ifs, we hit OK, and now it's asking us for the criteria. Now the first criteria range, let's say, will be which hotel they're staying in. Remember this little doodad here, the collapse dialog box, really useful. Don't remember it, go back to last week's video. We'll click it here, it collapses. We will select the entire column H. We will hit that button again, and then in the criteria, in quotation marks, we're going to type in Hilton. And we can see already that it's counted for us the number of people staying at the Hilton. That's 70, but that's not what we want. We want to know how many people are staying in the Hilton who are staying in single rooms. So it automatically populates a criteria range 2. We'll continue to do that no matter how many criteria you wish to put in. I've never seen a limit. I'm sure there's some ridiculous number like 256 criteria. If you're working on that, you probably need another job at this point because it's way too deep. Anyway, so criteria range 2, collapse dialog. This time we want to highlight column G because that's where the single and double are located. Hit collapse dialog again, and in this particular case, type in single. And there's our answer, 56. We're going to hit OK, and there it is. Now, if we had accidentally said, well, we didn't mean to put Hilton in there, we meant to put Sheraton in there, you could build it again, or, well, let's take a look just at the function bar, because we could just go right up here and eliminate Hilton and put Sheraton in there, and now the number updates. Count ifs allows you to count records if multiple conditions are true. Next up, and it's really very straightforward with one additional component, sum ifs. In this case, what we want to sum or tally or add up is the column that has the room nights. So it's going to be the same conditions that we started with, Hilton and single, but in this case, how many room nights are being used? And by the way, if you're in the meetings industry, you're on the hotel side, you're on the planning side, you do admin work that supports conferences anyway, that you're working on conferences, this is great information to be able to have. So sum ifs, we're going to go into P8, and we're going to start the process the same way by cheating, by going to that function wizard. We love being able to have Excel do that work for us. We'll go through it pretty quickly because I know you can stop the video anytime you want. Insert function. At this point, I'm going to type in some ifs and see what it's going to find for me. And guess what? Finds for me some ifs. That's perfect. So now, the first thing it's going to ask for, the range of the sum. This is the column you want to tally. And we want to tally column F. So collapse dialog and highlight F. And then collapse dialog again. And so now we've put that in there. Now we can build the criteria the same way we just did in count ifs. Go into criteria range. I'll do it quickly. Column H, which is the hotel column. Back to the collapse dialog box to bring us back there. Going to type in Hilton. 242 room nights. They have not added the number of people who are staying. This is the number of room nights. And now we can just build the conditions the way we want. One more criteria. We want to know whether they're staying in a single room. So we'll go and select column G, back to collapse dialog, and under criteria 2, we're going to type in quotes, as we have been doing consistently, single, and the number is 198. We see it right here in this dialog box before we even hit OK. And when we hit OK, there it is. So now you got two incredibly powerful multiple condition tools, or I should say multiple criteria tools. Count ifs and sum ifs. Now let's see two more things that are on the sheet. Column M is a ifs plural without the count and without the sum. And I've built this already, so let's take a look at it by my selecting cell M2. You notice in column M it says long stay, medium stay, short stay, and I didn't type that in there. That's all part of an ifs statement. We'll look at the function bar right now. Here's what it says. Equal ifs. We've started the function, and what we've done is put it all in a single parentheses. So if F2, what is in F2, is less than number 3, we want to type in the word short stay. Then we separate with a comma, and then we say if F2 is less than 6, as in 6 nights, type in their medium stay. And the last one, F2 is greater than 5, long stay. By the way, it will find the one that it hits first, and that's what it's going to select. So we don't have to worry about it being, choosing one or the other. We put it in the order from low to high the way we have it. And that plural if statement allows us to build a single condition here that can put words like that. Now you can probably find far better uses for the ifs plural function, but that is the basic straightforward approach. Now, column L is going to get into nesting. And when we talk about nesting Excel, we're talking about having parentheses inside of other parentheses. And while it doesn't look like the column L has a lot of information in there, it has a few things that are typed toward the bottom, it's actually a function. We're going to show it to you in a second. What this function is doing is we're saying we want to send an invitation out to this list only if multiple conditions are true. And we wanted to populate that field by saying send invite. So if I click in cell L2, you're going to see a nested function. What nested means, again, is one function inside of another. And this is sort of the entry point to a lot of very advanced uses within Excel to be able to use things together. They're sometimes a pain in the butt to set up, and sometimes you'll make an error or two, but when you get the hang of it, it can really let you extract the data you want. Let's look at what it says. Equal if, and then in parentheses, and. So we're saying both of these by the and have to be true for it to work. So the and condition is what it's going to evaluate first. And the and condition is going to be C2 equals northeast, which in this particular case, we'll actually scroll over a little bit more to the left, and you'll see that this first person is not in the northeast, but the west. So the condition's already false, but let's go through the rest of it. And then D2, and this is a really, really cool tool. If you want to evaluate a date, you need to put the function in their date value. I know it doesn't make any sense at all, but I've seen so many people hit obstacles with Excel because they didn't know when they're trying to evaluate dates within a multiple nested function that you can't just put the date in there. You have to put the date value, and then as you see, I've put it in parentheses, in quotation marks. 4/16/2019. Geez, I haven't updated this list in a while. So if the date value equals just that day, or actually I should say is less than, is before the 16th, then I want to send invites. So only and specifically two things need to be true. They have to be in the Northeast, from my Northeast region, and they have to be arriving before the 16th. So because we're having the party on the 16th and we don't want to invite people who are coming later in the week. So if it says that, if both are true, we want it to populate in that field the word send invite, just as a visual. Otherwise, a comma, we have two quotation marks. All that means is do nothing. So we put that into cell L2, and then we just double clicked it. I'm just going to scroll it down so you can see that it will not put anything in there until we hit L16 or L17, where this person both is staying in the Northeast and they're arriving before the 16th of April. That's a really, really powerful statement, and that's going to end how we're going to talk about Excel at this point. So let's come back here and review what we just did. We looked at, building on the last week, we looked at going into the plural count ifs and sum ifs, completely using the function wizard to be able to do that. We then looked at the ifs command on its own, and you might have thought that would be the way we start, but I find count ifs and sum ifs even more useful. But we saw that ifs in and of itself does work. And then if we really want to do some nesting, we can see how the if condition with other conditions such as and can allow us to build a multiple condition where either one thing, in this case send invite, or another thing, empty, null, nothing, is put in there. Pretty cool functionalities. Excel is really an iffy proposition, and when you start using it well, you're going to find that these if clauses and these if functions will really allow you to maximize what you want to extract from Excel. So I hope you found this two-part series useful. Any comments, you always know down here or wherever it's going to be on whichever social platform you're looking at this on, you can ask us questions and find out more about how you can make Excel such an incredibly productive tool. Ciao for now, gang. See you.